My name's Claire Rousay, and this is my Deep Digs.
Claire is an ambient composer and improviser who has just released a new album titled Sentiment on the Thrill Jockey label. This video finds Claire digging deep for some rare 90s vinyl, and with the new album just out, Claire has some other vinyl choices to make.
I was actually picking out vinyl colors today with the label.
Oh, good.
Because we're doing a repress, so it's exciting.
And how many will you press when you press, do you know?
I think we're doing I think the first run was close to 1,000, and now we're doing another run of 500 of another color, and then we're just gonna keep doing I think additions to 500 as we need them.
Very good. So this is your first album or first release on Thrill Jockey. Is that a big deal for you? Does that affect anything? Yeah, tell me about it.
Emotionally, just personally, I am a huge fan of the music and the label and the scene that the label came out of in the 90s.
Right.
Yeah, I loved all the music that was happening then, especially on independent labels and stuff, and the Chicago scene, and from 94 to 2002 was really intense. And I wasn't part of it. I just got to experience it later in life from the outside. So I'm significantly
And
younger
speaking of
than
Chicago, didn't Jeff Tweedy save your butt after you got robbed or something? I mean,
Yeah, he's a good guy.
what happened there?
Yeah, I got robbed. He sent me a ton of stuff from their loft studio, just kind of being really nice. And that was the first time we talked. And then after that, we were kind of just buds. He invited me to play some shows and open for him.
Oh,
So
cool.
I was doing some ambient music opening for him for his theater acoustic tour or whatever, and that was kind of weird. And we recorded some music together that's coming out at some point.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, but he's really nice. The whole team over there is really kind. I definitely owe them a big one.
So does it feel like you're from different musical worlds than folks like Wilco and that? Because they've been around a while, sold a few copies of things.
Yeah, yeah. It's cool to I don't know. I was talking to Kevin Drew of Broken Social Scene earlier today, and it's just
Uh-huh.
cool meeting these people from bands that I grew up listening to, and now they're in my life in a weird way. Um, but it's cool. Yeah, I feel I'll have a conversation with these guys who are indie rock dads, and then I don't know, I'll go and see somebody play a noise show,
Right.
and it's just kind of all of that in my mind is kind of one thing, because it is kind of
Right.
part of the greater whole. And also I think a lot of people don't give artists who've been around a while and are popular or more popular than the average person the credit they deserve, because a lot of them are they're deep heads, they know, they have their finger on the pulse type thing. A lot of them are way more in the cut, they know deeper stuff than you give them credit
Right.
for. So it's cool to see that being true.
Right. Right. And do you see yourself making music when you're in your 60s,
Hmm.
70s, 80s? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I was talking about this also the other day. My friend Wendy Eisenberg has a song about it, but references being a lifer, and
Right.
I want to be a lifer. I think that's
Right.
the thing for me. The song's called When I'm an Artist, but it's really really good, and it's
I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
it's
my favorite artist, or my favorite band back in, I'm much older than you are, was a band called Mott the Hoople. And it was run by a guy named Ian Hunter, who today is also releasing an album. And he is just 2 months shy of his 85th birthday.
whoa,
He's older than Dylan.
that's crazy.
And he's still out there doing it, and it's what the heck? And obviously he doesn't need to be doing it. There's something in him that he needs to express himself or whatever it is. And
He's
yeah,
connected
he's
to
definitely a
Ringo,
lifer.
right?
Yeah, he's played with Ringo's All Stars. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
definitely.
that's okay. I
And
was how do I know this person? But he had a Sorry, I'm
And he's
like,
got a, and like everybody and his mother is on his record. Jeff Beck's last recordings, and
that's
Taylor
crazy.
Hawkins, and people like that,
Yeah,
and all these. It's amazing. So,
that's so
yeah.
cool.
So when do you think? When did you become a lifer? When do you think you kind of made that transition to this is who I am and what I'm doing with my life?
Probably as like a early teenager, I was kind of
Mm.
just, I don't know, I was pretty disinterested in like anything that wasn't playing a show. So, or like going to band practice or like
Right,
going to the library and borrowing CDs to like rip them onto my computer type thing.
right,
Like if I wasn't doing one of those three things, then I was kind of out of it and not really invested. So
right.
when I decided that, those are the only things that mattered to me, I was like, okay, I gotta like figure out how to get myself in a position that, you know, lets me do these
Yep,
things all the time. And that's
yep.
basically all I do now. It's like I wake up and I dig through the internet and I don't know, trying to find new music and listen to new music for a couple hours, and then I work on music and record and email people about music, and then have practice, and then do interviews, and
There you go.
and yeah, that's it. And then
That keeps you busy, fills the
yeah,
day out.
then usually around 5 or 6 o'clock at night, I turn it off, and then I'm domestic. I'm at home with the dog and my girlfriend and hanging out.
There you go. Excellent. Now, I read about a thing called the Flow Festival that you performed at
hmm
last year, I think it was, where it was kind of one of the first times you were performing some of these songs and singing. And I'm wondering if you can kind of tell me a little bit about what was going on in your head, what you're feeling like when you did that, because that feels to me like maybe that's the beginning of this album.
Yeah, I mean, like I've had the songs for quite a while, but that was the first time I like really like I was touring and it was in Finland, so I had to like ask for a backline, and I was like, "Can you rent this guitar, this amp?" Like, and I was like, "Well, they already rented the gear, so I can't back out now." And then I played the
Right,
songs and singing and did a little bit of what I normally do, and then did that. But that festival is like quite big. Like it
right.
was, I mean. I can't remember exactly who was headlining, but it was like big bands,
I think
like
Blur might have been.
Blur. That's right. I was like, it was like one of those like Brit kind of like buzzy pop bands. Yeah. So it was kind of strange, like playing a festival of that size,
Right.
um, especially as like somebody who doesn't typically do song-based material. So it was cool to do like songs for the first time at a festival like that. And since then, I've kind of developed what I do, and I don't know, like it's been a bit, the refining process has been kind of hard too, because I'm used to being a bit off the cuff, and I mean, it's not so much anymore. I'm touring with like a somewhat of a band at this point,
Uh-huh.
so I got like string players with me and stuff. It's cool, but
Yeah.
yeah, that festival was really strange. I was not expecting for my performance to be attended or reviewed at all, but both things happened.
Well, it seems to have gone well, so
hmm
that's a plus.
Yeah, it was really cool though. And then I was so tired that I like fell asleep in the green room, and I woke up at like 11 o'clock at night when they were cleaning it up. I was so tired. I was like, I had traveled all day and I was real stressed out too. And I was just like, okay, I
Right.
gotta knock this out. And then I asked somebody from the stage for a cigarette, and then I like walked all the way across like the audience area and then smoked a cigarette, and then I like fell asleep backstage.
Uh, so obviously you're kind of pushing yourself musically and physically to make music and to make this record. Um, why are you doing that? Why, you
Um,
could be just doing the same thing that you've been doing for the last 5 or 6 years, and people will be pretty happy, right?
yeah, I think I don't know. I like to try things I haven't done before. And I don't know. I when I decided that this was going to be a record, I decided that once I got comfortable with it, I would start doing things that I didn't know how to do. So as I keep going, I start kind of adding things to my plate that are new experiences. Because if I'm going to be in this position where I'm getting asked to do stuff, and even if I don't know how to do it, I'm trying to figure out how to do it. So I'm touring right now with like a set design.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I'm the album cover, I'm recreating that bedroom. So I'm trying like these huge walls, like they fold out, they're like on like
Right?
springs, yeah, like collapsible walls, and then a bed, and posters and like I don't know, it's and like a lamp and like all this stuff. And I'm like, I've never done set design before, but I decided to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Singing songs live, playing guitar, having a band, like all of that stuff is pretty new.
Yeah.
Um, and even now, like getting asked to do like workshops or like talking, like speaking at things or like doing outreach for like mental health stuff. Like a lot of people have been just asking me to get involved in different things that I haven't done before. So I'm
Right.
trying to do it all. Um, Working with new people, like I've been kind of like connecting more with people in like the like contemporary hip hop world and like just like very very lightly dipping my toes in different places that I haven't been before.
Can you rap?
No, but I can chop things up for other people.
Right. Gotcha. Now, my understanding is the first track on the record, 4 p.m., that recorded voice at the beginning, you had sent that out to several people, and tell me what
Yeah,
really happened.
it was part of a commission I got. I asked to play this show in Paris for a festival in 2021, I think.
Right?
And part of the festival's thing was like I get to perform it in this space and like diffuse the sound through a bunch of different speakers. And I was like, I want a different uh, voice recording for each speaker I'm diffusing. So I got as many as I could from my friends reading this text. And one of them just kind of struck me as like the focal point. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna isolate this one and then use it for the first track on the record.
It's 4 p.m. on a Monday and I cannot stop sobbing. I haven't been able to eat or sleep or leave the bed for days. Crying every single day for the past 20 days. Now that I type it out, that seems like an obvious red flag. Something is wrong.
And that's my friend Theodore Schaefer. He's an amazing musician and composer based in Queens, New York, right now.
Queens. Oh, okay. All right. So do you do a lot of field recording? Are you thinking about recording all the time? If you're out at dinner with somebody, are they worried that you're going to be recording while they're eating?
Sometimes, yeah. I try not to do that anymore. Gotten in trouble too many times. But I do like try to catch stuff when I'm out. My phone is full of like I like automatically like marks the location. So one of those recordings on the record, the second to last track is actually with that exact thing. It's like a phone recording that just came from straight from
Oh, yeah.
my
That's what,
iPhone.
West Sunset Boulevard?
Yeah.
181.
181? It's like just straight from the phone. So I do catch stuff like that a lot and try to incorporate it as best as I can. But
Right.
yeah.
And do people that your friends and your collaborators, how do they react when they find themselves on your record?
I usually ask first, but
Oh, well,
yeah, it's kind of helpful when you do that. But usually it goes over pretty okay. A lot of their stuff like instrumentalists even I record with my phone, or
right.
like the handheld recorder. So it's
Nice.
yeah, it's cool to have like somebody that plays an instrument that you don't play and just ask them to play something and record it really fast and then base like a whole track off of that. Once you get back to the studio, it's
Right.
like kind of like a flipped way of working. Like you would think you would layer on these like additional things later or like these like sparse pieces of instrumentation, but I kind of flip it around and just work around the initial recording that was like caught my
Okay.
attention enough to ask to record it.
Okay. Now, one track I wanted to touch on, if you don't mind, is the fifth track, which I don't know how to pronounce it, I, or
Yeah, 3.
3. That's good. And you've got a couple of people, Julia and Emily, playing cello and violin, but it has a nice kind of a drony, Velvet Underground-y, Nico-y feel about it.
Yeah.
I just saw that Nico's. This was just been reissued. Are you
Whoa.
familiar with that record?
Oh yeah, Desert
Yeah,
Shore. Yeah, it's the best Nico
yeah,
record.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah. If you want to have anything more to add on that track, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So that was recorded in Cologne. I was doing a residency there, and they provided me with instrumentalists to record basically like for a whole day. It's just like if you have music for them or any ideas, we can sit down and you can tell them what to play and they'll play it.
Right.
And they have the studio set up for me, which is really nice. So that piece was like basically the Emily and Julia like sitting across the room playing, and then I'm on the other side of the room, and I'm basically just being like, next time I want them to change notes. So they're like droning on a D, and I'm like, change notes now.
Right.
And they get to decide. It was kind of like a game we were playing. I was like, you can start on this note, and then you can either play this note or this note. Um, and they have to kind of change at the same time, so they like glide into it. And it's like most of the time it's complementary, like and just like in a harmonic sense, but sometimes it does clash, um, and which is cool. But you have
Yeah.
this like this drone going the whole time, and then I built some electronics around it, and then I resampled the cello a lot, and I built um, like a virtual instrument using a sample from the cello to kind of build out that low end.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of it's influenced by the uh, like a lot of the Velvet Undergroundy kind of like the Kale uh,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
contributions. Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Do you
funny
know
you,
who
you caught
Tony
that.
Conrad was?
Yeah, 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 totally.
I,
It's
I saw him once here. He played in Auckland about 25 years ago, and it was maybe in a place. It was like almost like a cement building, and there's several 500, 600 people there, and all he did the whole show, he sat up in a window or like a little crevice in the back, so all you could see was a shadow of him sawing away on what he was, and he played like a one drone for like 2 hours, and that
whoa.
was it. And it was like you could tell it was like a who who's going to be able to sit through this? There were people leaving and couldn't handle it. It
That's
was quite the
crazy.
experience.
Whoa,
Yeah,
that's amazing. That sounds
yeah.
so cool. Especially like,
It was,
yeah, that's an amazing. What was the building called that it was in?
it
Is
was
it
called
still
the
around?
Hopetown Alpha.
Uptown Alpha. Is it still
Yeah,
around?
yeah, yep, yep. It's still sitting there, just down here in Auckland, but doesn't get used much anymore. But it should be.
Hmm. Yeah, it looks really cool. I'm like looking at it right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that just sounds interesting. I wanted to look it up. It's
All
so,
right. Well, you
it's
need to
cool.
come and play there.
I know, I would love to. That's
We can get
crazy.
you sorted, I'm sure. Yeah, it was definitely a test of wills to see if you could, you know.
That's amazing though.
Yeah. So your live shows, what are they turning out to be like now that you've got a band and you're singing and you got a record and all the trappings
Yeah.
of that?
It's usually like kind of like on and off like song form type thing that we're doing, pretty similar to the records, like instrumentation and like arrangement. And
Uh-huh.
then what I'm doing is I'm picking up improvisers who I play with normally in every city that I'm playing in. It's like
Oh,
instrumentals and
nice.
like collaborators that I have.
Yeah.
Um, Depending on whatever city I'm in, those are the people that'll be playing with me. So it's like I have like a one or two people who will like travel with me and do like a lot of the shows. So I have like a core member, and
Sure.
then I add on people. So we play a song, and then the improvisers will play, and I'm kind of like dictating what they do in these improvised sections. But really, the goal is to like get improvisers that I'm like a fan of or friends with that,
Sure.
these two people that may not always play together, but I want to hear them together. So it's kind of like my fun way of like forcing the collaboration to happen. So it's like we'll do a song and then an improvised piece, a song, an improvised piece. But it's a lot of like me fading myself out to like see how they work together on a musical level, which should be really interesting. I mean, I have like so many friends that I'm playing shows with over the next 2 months. A lot of like,
So it seems like every show is going to be different. Then it's
yeah, like
uniquely
the structure is the same, but the instrumentalists change. So it'll be pretty
right.
cool. And I'm kind of in charge. So, and I also like haven't really been in, I'm not very good at like dictating. So it's like a lot of freedom for the people playing.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, it sounds like fun. So do you see yourself coming down to possibly
I would
bring
love
the show
to.
down under?
Yeah, I would love to. The last time I played shows over there, I never got to hit New Zealand. So I've yet to actually play a show over there, but I really want to come down and do Australia, New Zealand. It was gonna happen at some point this year, and then the plans got foiled. So
Oh,
hopefully
really?
it can happen later in the year.
Okay.
There have been some talks about it. There have also been talks about Japan. It's not that those places are particularly close,
We're
but
practically neighbors.
coming from LA, it would make
Yeah,
more sense
definitely.
to do the whole loop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Hope to see you at the Hopetown Alpha sometime soon
I
then.
know. We'll make it
All
happen.
right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.